So hello and welcome everyone. My name is Rivera Sun. I am the programs coordinator for Pace y Bene and our program Campaign Nonviolence. And I will explain about those two things in just a moment. We are very glad that you are here for self-care, community care, and the call to act for a nonviolent world. We're really honored to be presenting this webinar with Heidi Solba and Jean-Guy de Gabriac, who are doing incredible work in the world. And so I do want to start by just introducing them a little bit. Heidi is an expert in social change and change management. She spent over a decade building and leading the Let's Do It World Global Network, which spans more than 150 countries. And they've been working on a cornerstone campaign called World Cleanup Day, which has become a global movement with millions of people participating in taking action on September 20th to clean up trash and refuse from their neighborhoods, rivers, local parks. And I want to share a little video about that with you so you just get a sense of the scope of this work. So here we go. We're going to enjoy that, and then I'll introduce Jean-Guy. So I hope that gives you a sense of the incredible work that Heidi and friends do and why it's so exciting to have her on this call talking about self-care and community care and those two things connection to ecological care. Heidi, I'm so glad you could join us. Let
Thank
me
you.
introduce Jean-Guy de Gabriac, who is the founder of World Wellness Weekend. Now, World Wellness Weekend is celebrated in 10,000 venues in over 160 countries with 60 supporting organizations through September 19th to 20th every year. He is the CEO of Tip Touch International and an award-winning educator in guest experience. He's got a host of impressive awards and commendations like Wellness Personality of the Year 2024, Wellness Influencer of the Year 2025, and he really devotes himself to serving in collaboration with other organizations this idea that taking care of ourselves is part of taking care of our world. So by way of introducing him, let me introduce World Wellness Weekend, which I think you will also be blown away at the scope of this endeavor. So again, yeah, this is an immense campaign. Now, World Wellness Weekend and World Cleanup Days are partners in the Campaign Nonviolence Action Days, which, as many of you know already, is a long-term movement to build a culture of peace and active nonviolence, free from war, poverty, racism, and environmental destruction. We work with over 5,000 actions and events every year, and this year's theme is to practice nonviolence towards ourselves, others, the world, and the earth. We look at nonviolence as a way of life, a set of principles, a set of practices and skills, policies and programs that heal, liberate, and transform, as well as challenge violence in all its forms. And doing this, we use over 300 different types of nonviolent actions. Some, like marches and strikes and boycotts, are familiar as nonviolent action, and some, like wellness activities, where people are just learning to recognize that this is nonviolence too. So this year, between September 21st and October 2nd, we have many calls to action, including the call for self-care to practice nonviolence towards yourself, ways to practice nonviolence towards others, including with peace team and de-escalation skills, ways to practice nonviolence towards the world through social movements and things like visibility actions, banner actions, pop-up protests, anything that gets our issues in front of the eyes that need to see it. And then as humanity is learning, we also need to practice nonviolence towards the earth. And you can do this in a range of ways, such as what Heidi does with World Cleanup Day, but also by asking banks and city halls and pension funds to move their money out of weapons and fossil fuels and into sustainable renewable energy. We also ask people to take action on September 1st to make the connection between a love of peace and the need to actually work to stop war. And then on October 2nd, which is the International Day of Nonviolence, we ask everyone to help do the broad education about this incredible toolbox called nonviolence. And we have ways to do that that you can tap into. Today, we're going to look at self-care keeps you going. And we are going to talk about its connection to community care and how personal practices like daily walks or healthy meals also connects to organizing that with your community so that everyone can access healthy meals, community walks, the ability to go to a fitness program together like World Wellness Day asks for. This is one piece of the big puzzle of creating a culture of active nonviolence, and I'm really honored to be here with my two colleagues to talk about this with you. We'll make sure you get links to everything in the chat box so that you can connect to these great programs. So Heidi and Jean-Guy, I'm going to spotlight you for everyone so that people can see you. We're going to have a roundtable conversation, but let's just start with, how does the idea of self-care and community care work into these phenomenal projects and endeavors that you are doing in the world? Heidi, why don't you start us off? What's the connection there for you?
Yes, thank you. There is definitely a connection. I remember my first cleanup, which I was holding in 2008 with a big organization, because I was working like a human resource manager in big governmental organization, and it was my first cleanup. And I was not part of the Let's Do It World yet, and it was not existing in this way. But I remember that even to me, who I was not so much working with the environment by this time, I understood and realized that the context behind of everything, when you are cleaning up, sort of you are cleaning up your understandings and values of the world. And I felt very interesting, this kind of emotions. It was like emotion of shame. And then I was really angry to someone who had so much of, it was a dump site where we were cleaning, and that there is illegal dump site. And then I was having this kind of feeling of proudness, and also an understanding what kind of world I want to live. And it was very strong realization of my time that actually that alignment between their inner cleanup or inner values are so much correlated with outside waste we do have. So I understood that people who have the core values and who have this kind of purity in the soul, and do care also about the environment, are not littering around. And the people who are coming to the cleanup, maybe they do understand then after this cleanup that there is so much more in this world. And I hope that they will be looking to the world after the cleanup in much clear eyes and more understanding about the values in the world are so important.
Mhm.
So, and this is what we are talking today as well, more and more in our organization. And even I have to say that our next world cleanup, the 20th of September, first time, will be dedicated also to inner cleanup of ourselves.
Wonderful. That's exciting to hear, making that connection. The Sarvodaya movement in Sri Lanka had a phrase, "We build the road and the road builds us." This idea that
Yeah.
as we build the improvement of our community, we also build our strength internally as well. Very powerful concept. So
Mm.
Jean-Ki, let's hear from you about that connection between self-care, community care, and the work that you're doing with World Wellness Weekend.
Thank you, Rivera. So happy to join all of you from the US, from Europe. I see some faces that I know, some faces that I'd like to discover and speak with later. For me, self-care represents everything you can do, we can do to preserve our energy, to amplify our vitality, to restore our serenity. We all have different ways to do it. Catching our breath, feeling more centered, more grounded. World Wellness Weekend, that was launched in 2017, promotes really 5 pillars to explore that. 4 on a personal level, 1 on a community level. The first 4 pillars are how you can increase and improve the quality of your sleep. Sometimes people don't sleep a lot, but they can still improve the quality of their sleep. I remember a few years ago when I was only sleeping 4.5 hours per night because it would add 1 more waking hour and working hour every day. So by the end of the week, I could have, almost 5 to 6 to 7 hours extra work that I could do. So not really helpful on the long run, but that's why we really support sleep and creativity, the good creativity you have the following day. Nutrition, not necessarily by buying organic food, but definitely by choosing what you put in your plate, what you put inside your body, and what you feed your brain with brain food. Movement and vitality, mindfulness and serenity. So these are the 4 pillars of wellness for self. And the 5th one, for community care, it's really a sense of purpose and solidarity, which we are definitely going to dig deeper in together in this conversation.
Yeah, so let's start there. So, why is purpose and solidarity so vitally important to human beings? Like, what is it that we crave, we need, or we get internally when we show up for our communities in the world? Why is that even important to us? Jean-Guy, maybe you can jump in, and then I'd love to hear from Heidi too.
Of course, of course. Some people believe in give and take. Some people are more take and take. And some people are just givers. And I would argue for them to be a little bit of give and take so that they can also enjoy a few things from this world and not just give and pour themselves out. There are so many things to enjoy, to celebrate in life. But I think one of the juiciest and strongest pleasures we can have on this planet is to contribute to something that is bigger than us. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about spirituality. I'm not going to talk about philosophy. Concrete things we can do on a daily basis, weekly or monthly, or sometimes good deeds we can do. But by getting out of ourselves and helping out, contributing, volunteering, there is so much we can get out of it. Some people wake up with an alarm clock, fine. Some people wake up with a calling. And when you get this kind of calling, chances are you will wake up earlier, just a few minutes earlier than your actual alarm clock with a sense of determination, a sense of purpose. I know that this desire to contribute, not just as a person, as a man, but also, I have to say, as a father. I have two daughters, now 28 and 25. And when I saw what Heidi is doing with World Cleanup Day, and the fact that I hope I can help contribute in some way, and now with 170 ambassadors, and one of them joining in this call, this with Julie Wren in Belgium right now, there is a sense of having leverage so that not only do we have an impact on the local level, but also we can catch the attention of the media. And then the media catches the attention of lawmakers. And this is where I think we can have systemic change. And I know this is something that is very, very strong for Heidi, systemic change.
Yeah, Heidi, let's talk about that a little bit, because it is all connected. We don't live in isolation, so no matter how individually healthy and well we are, it's not that it's meaningless. It's not that it's not as meaningful as if we are surrounded by communities, societies, and a global world, which is also healthy and well. So tell me a little bit about your approach to systemic change.
Mhm. Yes, but I also comment that already humans has this nature to belong to society, community, family. This is part of human nature. So community is very important. And then when we talk about the Let's Do It world, we are building up the communities in local level. We have done it in 164 countries, which is currently in our network with whom we are working with. So apparently in all those countries, we have teams, and those teams are building up very strong relations with the local society, but also different kind of partners. And I think that the power of environmental organization is to speak of the language, which is important to hear out that environment is very important and we have to do regarding of their environment. Now coming to the 5%, as you asked, Rivera, yes, this is our main strategy. Our strategy is not to clean up because we are not cleanup organization. This is what I feel and know. But by our understanding is that when we have a critical mass of the people, and currently we're talking about 5% of engagement in country, in community, and why not if in even global level, into one action, which is visible enough, it does create very strong impact in this world because it's starting and boosting systemic change regarding of awareness firstly, and also human behavior changing. And exactly that is what we are looking for, changing human behavior and also raising up the awareness. When we engage in critical mass of the people, it's also catalyzing cross-sectoral cooperation. And also, from my personal experience, by being in many cleanups, and just in last week, I was again cleanup in Singapore and with our teams from Asia. And then just to understand, if we already can clean up some location together, what else we can actually do? And what could be the solution to keep it clean as well? And that is very important question if you talk about the community. When the society and community is engaging all together to do something so not nice thing like cleaning up the waste from the streets or river banks, but actually the emotion behind of that is very strong. And it is bonding. It's bonding for the action, it's bonding simply for making this cleanup and also bonding for future solutions. And that is exactly what we are for, finding the solutions in national level, but also in global level. And that's why we talk about the 5%, and that is global community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for articulating all of that and that distinction that you see between, you're not a cleanup organization, you're not the sanitation department of a city. You're using the opportunity for communities to engage in what we in the nonviolence field call direct action, directly engaging and intervening in the problem as a way of taking matters into our own hands. The trash is getting cleaned up, but also dramatizing the issue, right? That we have a global crisis around waste that we need to do better on. And through those actions, galvanizing society to take more seriously the many steps that they can take to intervene in this issue. Now, Jean-Guy, I also look in a very interesting way at World Wellness Weekend as a form of direct action, that we're no longer outsourcing our wellness and our health to anyone else. We're saying we are going to find a way to plug in and start taking these steps. Is there anything you can say about what it means to have a global coordinated weekend of actions to help people start making those shifts and patterns into engaging with wellness?
Yes, we need more than one wake-up call. So many times, unfortunately, people have their wake-up call when they're close to death, or when they're in a near death situation, or after a strong accident, or when they have bad news with a doctor on the other side of the desk. And then all of a sudden, they realize they need to do something. If we can just not wait for that moment to make changes, and rather than say, you know what, I think I'm okay, but I really wait until the time that I'm really, really bad to go and see a doctor or to do something about it. Why not optimize yourself? Why not change the fuel that we have on our daily lives, and to have a higher octane of quality of breathing, eating, sleeping, moving, socializing, so that we can discover a new version of ourselves, a better version of ourselves, a more connected version of ourselves, with nature, with friends, not necessarily through phones or stuff like this, but truly being connected, truly being mindful. And World Wellness Weekend is this opportunity to encourage people not just to show up on the weekend. Some people will. Some people will hear about World Wellness Weekend through the media. Last year, we had over 800 mentions on TV, radio, press, magazines, websites, and 16,000 posts on social media. Not just us talking about ourselves, venues, institutions, mayors publishing about what they're going to do through Wellness Weekend. So people find it out at the last minute, and then they go to wellmap.org and they find near them in over 2,800 cities activities near them where they can participate. So they will be the people showing up late at the party and enjoying. They will be those preparing early on and wanting to show up during World Wellness Weekend, 19, 20, and 21st of September, having already done some changes in their lives, having already implemented some actions, and ideally, and we started World Wellness Weekend with a pledge, a wellness pledge, that is just 3 steps. First, Rivera, what would you like to improve in your life? Is it the quality of your sleep? What you decide to eat and how you decide to eat? Maybe intermittent fasting, maybe trying to find more plant-based things you want to choose, not just to have a beach body for summer, but to have a body you feel comfortable with, that helps you move, be joyful, sleep well. It's all interconnected. So what do you want to improve with the 5 pillars? Then ideally, you should have a wellness buddy. This is when you turn maybe to Shayna at Apache Bene, and you say, I'm going to try these things to improve my life through the 5 pillars of wellness. Shayna, will you be my wellness buddy? And I'm going to put the link in the chat so that people can see it. Therefore, Rivera, now you're not just alone to try to change something in your life. You have someone to be accountable to, and to go to. Maybe you can bring Shayna to your fitness club. Maybe Shayna will bring you to her yoga studio, and you can exchange things. And together, there are so many more chances for you to achieve your goal and to keep that goal attained for long. And then the last thing, the last step, after it's you and then it's 2, then once you feel you have achieved some kind of your goal, you feel better with yourself, you have taken the steps, maybe you want to help somebody else. Maybe you want to donate some food at a food bank. Maybe you want to help volunteer. Maybe you want to reach out to somebody else and you want to donate to a charity. What you're going to give to someone you have never seen, maybe you will never meet, is also reaching out, paying forward. That's the wellness pledge.
Wonderful. I love that three-step process, and there's so many ways that I can imagine plugging into that third step, which honestly is where I start. So it's great to also do the other two. You know, from showing up for World Cleanup Day to taking action with the Campaign Nonviolence Action Days, it's really clear what this connection is. You know, it's no secret that activism takes it out of you, and that we have had a very an approach to making change in our world that involves a lot of martyrdom and self-sacrifice. Burnout is very high among activists. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for example, was famously hospitalized multiple times for exhaustion. And when they did his autopsy, they said that he had the heart of a 65-year-old man, although he was much younger. So we know that the ways that we approach the urgent crises of our time sometimes become destructive of us as well. So what we're trying to stand up for here in Campaign Nonviolence, and we are not alone in this. This is a growing trend within what we call the movement of movements, of recognizing that we want to normalize recruiting enough people to our change movements that we can share the load, that we can pass the torch from one week to the other, that we can take time off to replenish our wells so that we don't go and go and go and go until complete burnout sets in. This is why Campaign Nonviolence is really focusing on nonviolence towards the self, towards others, towards the world, and towards the earth. So you two both coordinate these immense projects. And I want to know, and I'm sure our listeners want to know as well, how do you avoid burnout? What are your personal practices at this point in time amidst the madness of what you're pulling off? How do you make sure that you take your breaks, you stay hydrated, you get a good enough team around you that you're not working, 20-hour days for a whole year to pull off these things? Heidi, what's your secret?
I think I have to do the wellness pledge, definitely, and I will. I think for me, the most important thing is actually sleeping. So I have to be rest first thing. And I also move with my dogs. I have 2 dogs. I'm moving around a bit and go to walk with them. I love to be in the forest, in the nature, of course. I'm a very big nature lover. Sometimes I'm doing yoga. I'm not doing anything in systemic way, but I'm in good health and shape and everything. But I think that it is important to have some, I want to find my passion. My passion is dancing, actually. So I used to do it a lot, all these Latin America dancings. But this work, what I'm doing, has been taking all my time. And I think this is typical talk for any kind of leader, I am absolutely sure. But there has been a change, very big change just recently, in past, I think, a year or so. Main thing what I'm doing is I have been changed with my thoughts or the way how I'm realizing the world. So I might be saying that there is some kind of transformation within my understandings, how I live in this world. So I'm currently working on mental and awareness and understanding that firstly, I am not the best one in this world. I cannot do all the work in this world. Everything not supposed to be done by me. I'm not the only one who is taking all the 100% responsibility. And I think as I'm a leader, I have been leader also all my life. Now to come in this age where I am and doing all this work to this kind of understanding is liberation for me. And I think when it is liberation in mental way and I understand it first, that that's absolutely okay that I take, even if I need 3 days of the rest, nothing is happening in really big world. There is still the waste in this world. Then the next thing is definitely to have more time to myself and to understanding that I want to do my artwork. I want to do more walking, and I want to do the yoga class in more systemic way. So everything is coming step by step for me. But I'm really happy about this transformation and understanding that I don't have to be the best one in this world, and I can do all this, and I don't have all the answers. And that is the most important thing to me. The rest is following. So pledge is coming as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Zhangyi, how about you?
It's interesting because Rivera, earlier on, you talked about change and you talked about transformation, and Heidi just talked about change and transformation. I think change is good, transformation is better. We need to be, and I'll say we, because I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm always I'm pedal to metal. I'm Sagittarius ascendant in Leo. I'm Pitta. If you look at my dosha in Ayurveda, I'm fire. So I'm all in. I'm all in, and I discovered that all in is not the best way, especially to avoid a burnout. I went through one in 2022, just after Putin sent his army to invade Ukraine. In February, I was just flabbergasted. In March, we took a decision with my wife to move some of our clothes and to have two mothers from Odessa moving into our home with their four children. And we moved out of our apartment. We left the apartment to them. And I thought that would be okay, that I could manage. And in April, I just found myself completely depleted. So I'm not going to talk about me, but I'm going to talk about you listening and being passionate with Pace Bene, with the nonviolent actions. Be prepared to know that what you care about immensely can consume you if you do not work in teams, if you do not envision what you can achieve with time, with months, sometimes years, with determination, being relentless, like the waves on the beach, where there used to be mountains, now you have a beach. It took, yes, millions of years. We have less time than millions. We have our lifetime. But what can we do to make sure that, as you said, Rivera, there's always someone carrying the torch? It's not because one of you in your city, in your neighborhood, started something that you need to always show up and be the one always showing up because you started. You start and then be like an entrepreneur. Know that if you want to grow, you need to have a team. You need to have people showing up also, so that sometimes one is taking the lead and the one is back catching one's breath, and then you move like this. It's about growing because we need time. We have time on our side because the media will always finally look at something really original or really massive. I'll take two examples. One that I found in the document that you have created, Rivera, with your team about the non-violent actions. September 2024, fathers who want to lobby about parental leave for men decided to strap, how do you say, the things to carry the baby on famous statues of men. Jane Kelly, Thierry Henry,
I
near
love that action.
the statue, the stadium of Arsenal. That caught the attention of the media. I had the chance 2 weeks ago, as we were preparing this call, to be in Tallinn, Estonia, in the same room as Heidi, where she is now. But I am now in Vilnius, in Lithuania. And one thing that I have seen, I'll stop on this to show how really, when people are committed, even in times of war, even in times of Soviet occupation, the three Baltic states decided to create something that could catch the attention of the media because they thought after the war, people would realize they are still under Soviet regime, and they were free before the war. Why should they be now in the Soviet bloc? So for years and decades, they had to go through all of this. I'm not going to go through the details. Some people are going through that right now in countries in Africa, in Europe, in Latin America, and in some way, even in the US. I thought I would never see this, but unfortunately, it is happening. We are witnessing it. They decided that on August 23rd, for the 50th anniversary of a secret deal between Ribbentrop and the Soviets, separating and deciding who is going to be under Nazi occupation and who's going to be under Soviet occupation. On the 50th anniversary, they decided risking their lives, risking their jobs, risking to be thrown in jail, they decided to hold hands from Vilnius, where I am, all the way to Tallinn, where Heidi is right now, 650 kilometers, which is over 400 miles. Over 2 million people held hands without break so that they could create the Baltic Way. We need to catch our breath through self-care. We need to care for community, and we need to be creative. How can we catch the attention of the media so that they can be the fourth power, keeping in check either the presidential, the legislative, or the judiciary? If they don't show up for you, make sure you catch the attention of the media. This is my message, and this is how last year we caught the attention. We generated 39 million views, and we continue to grow. Last year, the 800 mentions on TV, radio that I did talk about have a total audience of 3.5 billion people. That's their total audience. We could only catch 39 million. It's good. We'll do better. And this is when I get back to pedal to metal.
Thank you for sharing all of that, including that incredible story of the Baltic Way. And that did indeed lead to 3 nonviolent revolutions for independence from the Soviets, and some of the most dramatic and amazing examples in the history of nonviolent action. One of the things that we think of with World Wellness Weekend is the concept of Gandhian constructive program. So sometimes we have oppositional actions where we stand up directly against an injustice or an abuse and we say no more. And sometimes we have actions through which we build our resilience and our capacity and our self-reliance versus our dependency on the oppressor. And in many ways, when we look at the violence of our world and the way that it comes down in healthcare, in overwork and worker exploitation, World Wellness Day seems like a nice idea, a beautiful idea, but not necessarily a directly confrontational idea until you get down to the point where individuals learn to stop cooperating in our own destruction, the destruction of our bodies, minds, and spirits. And we see this with the incredible work of the NAP ministry, for example, and the leadership of Black feminists in the US who are saying grind culture has got to go, that is destructive to us. It stems out of exploitive systems within the Black tradition, from the Black tradition, from the legacy of slavery. But if you are not Black, you can also see that within the exploitation of workers. So we're really at this moment in humanity where we see violence coming in all aspects of our society. And at Pace, Bene and Campaign Nonviolence, we say we want to shift from a culture of violence, where violence is everywhere and fairly normalized in our society, to a culture of nonviolence, where nonviolence is normalized. This idea that you will get enough sleep, you will get nutritional, healthy food, and everybody will have access to that. You will have enough to make and have a living. That we will not have exploitative or destructive industries as the norm in our world. That war will not be normal anymore. That we will invest trillions of dollars worldwide, but especially in the United States, in things like peace building, in nonviolent conflict management, in peace teams, such as what we're inviting people to explore in our call for Protect the Vulnerable. We know that there are solutions to all of the forms of violence and alternatives to them, and that we encompass them into the nonviolent toolbox. Friends, we would love to hear your questions. So if you could go ahead and put your questions into the chat box, that would really help us out. You may have a question for Jean-Guy or for Heidi directly, or a general question that we can direct to one or both of them. But go ahead and take a minute and get those in the chat box so that we can talk about them. Yes, Jean-Guy, go ahead.
As the attendees are writing their questions, I would just like to add something, because a lot of people think that wellness or World Wellness Weekend is about going to a yoga class, going to a fitness session, or going to the spa. It's also about taking a clear action of what you can do for your community. I'll give you 2 examples. in Buenos Aires. 10 practitioners, a fitness instructor, a yoga instructor, mindfulness, someone dealing with breathing, 10 people in 10 different fields decided to join together from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. And they each offered one free class. And they each reached out to their clients, their clients base, saying, Rivera, I know you join my class every week, and thank you for that. I will be celebrating World Wellness Weekend with 9 other professionals. If you want to join on that day at that place, this is the program. You can join again for a class with me, or you can join with a class with Heidi, or you can join a class with Amelia. This is what we do. If you want to join, please bring your mat, bring a bottle of water, stay hydrated, maybe bring a friend. Maybe why don't you bring Shayna, your wellness buddy, and if you can, you don't have to, but if you can, please bring some non-perishable food that we will share at the end of the day with associations and charities. At the end of the day, they had gathered 285 kilos of food, which is over 600 pounds of food shared through 3 associations. That is turning a wellness activity into something meaningful for community. The second example, and I'll end on this, is in Bali, where 5 Elements Retreat, a beautiful place, quite aspirational in price, decided to open their doors for anyone. The locals, the backpackers, anyone could join for that day, and they would be, the gates were wide open, and they could join different activities. At the end of the fitness session and the yoga session, the GM was talking to people and was asking, so Heidi, how do you feel? I feel great. Oh, thank you so much. I'm super happy to hear that. May I ask what your blood type is? Maybe it's A plus. Yeah, A plus. Maybe symbolically, now that you feel great, as you say, your blood type is A plus plus. And wouldn't that be a great time maybe for you to donate a pint of your blood? The Red Cross van is right on the parking lot. And if you want to donate a pint of blood, it could save somebody's life. It could save a kid's life. It could save someone with an operation. Turning into a free yoga class and fitness class into pints of blood to be shared with the world. That's how we contribute together. Small ways and go a long way.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. Those stories really illustrate that connection we're trying to make between self-care, which is how we nourish ourselves and replenish our well. There are myriad ways to do that. And also community care, where we work together with others to make sure everyone has that opportunity and everyone has access to that. And that requires a little bit of forethought, right? A lot of parents especially struggle to do self-care because they're doing childcare and working at the same time. So an example of community care is coordinating a couple people to take the kids to the park so that mom can take a bath, right, without being interrupted, or a dad can go to that fitness class for the first time in 6 months after being completely sleepless with a newborn. So, thinking this through about how we can support one another is a major part of practicing nonviolence towards self, but also nonviolence toward or with others. We have a question come in the chat box, and it's for Heidi. Well, it's for both of you, but let's start with Heidi, and then we'll go to Jean-Guy. Heidi, how have you and your teams all over the world gotten young people, children and young adults, interested in doing cleanups? And then Jean-Guy, we'll let you mention wellness activities. Is there any tips you can offer to people?
Actually, it's not challenge at all. I think young people are very aware, and as we actually can see, quite worried about the environment, also for the future. So we do have a special program for the schools, which is not just for the cleanup, but which actually is bringing this kind of education, environmental education to the curriculums, to the schools, and it's also involving environment in really biggest scenario, but also talking about the zero waste and how to segregate and how to be really creative, what to do with the waste, for example, but also how to compost and also to gardening. So, and also we can see that when this kind of awareness, education is already in the schools, then it's very easy to bring the people and the students into the cleanups as well. But I have to say that in Estonia, for example, 91% of their participants from the work cleanup, which is 5% of our population, has been schools and young people. And I know that it's also in other countries in the same way. But as I said, the awareness is very big there. So for me, an understanding that involving young people is not hard, absolutely not. I think there is will to work on those. And actually, one thing what I will add to Zhangyi talk previously about the nonviolence and also self-care and also the building of the community. Actually, I had most strongest story, which I forget somehow to tell you. And it was in 2017 when I had a call from Syria, who has a very big war. And I had a call from JCI, which is junior, this kind of organization, very big one, JCI, again, young people. And the caller was Rasha Shamon, our leader, next leader to Syria. And she said that they heard about the first work cleanup which will be in 2018, and they want to take a part of the work cleanup day, being in really big war. And I thought this is like a joke call or what it is. And I said that, but you're in the war, how you can be part of the work cleanup day? And then she said that, yes, not all the parts are like in physical war, but in mentally, we are all in war. But we just figured out that we want to do something for the community, and just to be in 10 minutes and just to forget about the war and do something good for our country, because this is so important for us as humans. And it was, for me, when I talk about, I still have the goosebumps, because I understood that we are not just a cleanup organization, we are also peace organization. So what I want to say, because it's a main topic here, is looking campaign of non-violence behind of you on the wall, Rivera. I think that when people coming together for the good aim, any kind of aim, it could be cleanup, it could be well-being, it could be, I don't know, things. If they're coming together and they have this kind of common desire, which is bonding them with hearts and spirits and passion to talk about the same thing, then actually it's bringing the people together, making them better, and lighting up their souls somehow and making them more pure and more better persons in this world. Simply doing good. That is the most important, actually, what we are missing in this world. We have too much of violence here, and too much of, I don't know, echo is going around the world. But yeah, I wanted to share you this Syria talk.
Thank you. Thank you. What a powerful story.
People.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you.
Yeah.
Talking about countries at war and celebrating World Wellness Weekend, Ukraine. Some spas and yoga studios are celebrating. I'll try to, I'm conscious of time with 7 more minutes. I'll try to answer Amelia's question about getting the children and the young adults involved, and also Mek Sibanda talking about, is there a guide for formatting wellness schools and awareness sessions? One way, I mean, I agree with idea when you talk about cleanup and planet and environment. Some teenagers are very, very militant to have a cleaner planet. There's an anguish, there's a zeitgeist with this, and they want to do something cleaning up. They feel contributing. Wellness and sports, not that much. You see so many kids with their phone in sofas, not going out. We used to go out until dusk and play with football, kicking in a ball with kids, until our parents told us, come back, wash your hands, dinner's on the table. And yeah. And then we would have to go back, but we would be active. With World Wellness Weekend, we have found a way. If you go to wellmap.org, you will find a red button in the menu, which is Reward Your Wellness. We have teamed up with a company called Endurance Zone, and they have gamified, in a way, the number of steps you take per day, the number of the steps you walk, you run, the number of minutes you use to practice a workout, fitness workout, a yoga session, even minutes or hours you will take by listening to music or playing to music, dancing. Heidi said she loves dancing. I love dancing. I only dance at weddings. I don't go to nightclubs anymore, but we had a birthday in Portugal and we danced until 2 a.m. That was fantastic. That was my workout. So we gamify this to make them excited with the minutes that they walk, run, exercise, or simply listen to a podcast or journal. They earn points. These points then can then be changed for special deals with how do you say, apparel that they like, shoes, glasses that they like on a reward wall, a wall of rewards. So they feel excited. We are also partnering with a company in Africa called Yoga Experiences Africa. And they have so many teachers across the continent and also in Europe and America and Canada, but mainly in Africa. And they have now teachers saying, yeah, I'll do a class for adults and maybe for seniors. But now there are more and more people, teachers of yoga, who want to share yoga in classrooms and do chair yoga and help them stretch and stuff like this. So there are ways to engage schools with awareness. Absolutely.
Great, thank you so much. We are coming up at the end of our session. There was a question from Jan that I'll just take a minute to answer about disinformation on a wide variety of issues. It is a problem, Jan, and it is a major problem rising in our world. And I think that's one of the reasons why both Heidi and Jean-Guy and the work that they're doing are really also paying attention to the need to do outreach to media, to really get some clear information to the mass media, to really break through some of the misperceptions that are out there, and Campaign Nonviolence is also working on that as well. It is a major thing. Yes, Jean-Guy, a short comment?
Oh, yes, very, very short. Disinformation, misinformation that we today, July 26th of 2025, think is a lot, is nothing compared to what's coming generated by AI. Now, if you look at Rachel Meadows on MSNBC, she has a website that is called Is It Really Rachel or Is It Rachel.com? Because there are so many misinformation and and photos and videos represented, and something is crashing, something in the background. So be careful. And I think what we need to do is simply stay grounded, stay centered, and say, please Google it, double check. Here is the website when you can have the right information. Please document yourself. Please use your sense of criticism so that you really dig deep into this and don't take a post, a photo, or a video for face value. It could be AI generated, especially if a baby has 6 fingers on his hand, or if a traffic light, like we have seen in Los Angeles with the National Guard, there was this mark
Yes,
or this guy who said, "Hey, I'm with the National Guard. I'm going to tell you what's happening." The name on his tag was non-legible, and the traffic light behind him had all 3 colors light up in the same time. That should be a red flag too. This is totally AI generated.
Thank you, Jean-Guy, for that quick reply. There's so much to talk about that. We'll have to have a whole other webinar on staying sane, grounded, and informed in the age of not just the internet, but the AI internet. Friends, we invite you, if you've enjoyed today's session, to make a donation to support the work of Bene and Campaign Nonviolence. That is always appreciated. If you've been meaning to do it, that's a great way to do it. As always, we encourage you to sign up for action days and join in. For example, Shayna and I, Shayna is the outreach coordinator for Campaign Nonviolence, are both committing to do 12 actions, one for each day of action days, to do self-care for ourselves. It's an easy action, and we hope everybody on this call and in action days will do that. We could very quickly go 1,000 actions more if everyone enjoyed doing that. If you're looking for more ideas about doing self-care, we do have a whole section of our toolkit on it. And we do want to encourage you to also participate in World Wellness Weekend, September 19th to 21st, and World Cleanup Day on September 20th. Find an action near you or host it. Two very simple, very deep and profound ways to get involved. Heidi and Jean-Guy, we have 1 minute left, 30 seconds or less. Please tell me, why did you guys decide to join in with Campaign Nonviolence and co-collaborate with us? Because we are also partners on your actions. What was the connection there for you, and what brought you to this amazing campaign?
Thank you. This is absolutely obvious. I think that the same thing when I actually started with my talk here, that everything is related, inner and outside world is in high correlation in between, and I think somehow the world is in turbulence, as Rivera, you said that, and we have to calm it down a bit, and we have to give the purpose to people to care about themselves and also for the environment. Also, it's a big question for the young people, definitely. And I think through these campaigns all together, we actually can do it, and we have to do it. And the most important thing is we can do it. So let's do it. I'm probably let's do it well, so let's do it.
Thank you, Heidi. Jean-Guy?
It's true. Barack Obama said, yes, we can, but he should have said, let's do it. And I think it could have been a very popular slogan also. Connecting and amplifying, joining you, Rivera, Shaina, and all of you at Pache, Bene, and Campaign Nonviolence was a no-brainer. It came to my attention thanks to Julie Wren attending this call today. She's in charge of global partnerships. She's the one who saw you, made the first contacts. And when she mentioned, I said, absolutely, let's go, because we show up 3 days in the year. We try to encourage as many weekends of wellness, 52. You guys are out there on the streets whenever there's something that needs to be called on, that someone's need to be fact-checked, something that needs to be put back in check, so that the power goes back to the people. We, the people, that's you, that's us, and you are democracy in the flesh. You are democracy living and breathing. So well done for you. We just want to share a few advices, like we did the first time with Julie a month ago with Shayna, when we had this conversation about the 5 pillars of wellness. If we can help you take that mask like in the plane so that you can help yourself first before you help others, this is our message to you, so that we can help you stay grounded and so that you can enjoy 3 treasures in life: a revitalized body, a quiet mind, and a peaceful heart. Don't get drawn in by the disinformation, the misinformation. Stay grounded, stay centered. Know that time is on your side, because eventually the media will say, this is too big a story not to be told. This is amazing, like the No King's Day that you had in June. That was fantastic. So well done you. Super happy to be by your side.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jean-Guy and Heidi, for joining us for this webinar. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and listened. In this big shift from a culture of violence to a culture of active nonviolence, we can't go it alone. We need everyone. We need to practice nonviolence towards ourselves, as World Wellness Weekend so beautifully exemplifies, nonviolence towards others, nonviolence towards the world and the earth, which World Cleanup Day does on so many levels. Thank you for joining with Campaign Nonviolence, and for all of you who came out today. Thank you all, and goodbye.